All right, all right, all right. As my friend Carnivore Soldier would say, we are live and back for Sunday Carnivore Roundtable. This is an exciting one. We're gonna have a good conversation here. We're gonna talk about carnivore and fitness. We're blessed to have Coach Bronson on here with us today, so we're looking forward to that conversation. So I welcome you guys. It looks like we already got some people piling in. That's awesome. Let's get this thing on the road. Dun, dun, dun. All right, guys, welcome to Carnivore Roundtable. How you guys doing today? How you doing, Christy?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a Sunday morning, and I'm ready to talk fitness with you guys.
Outstanding. So how's the weather out there in beautiful sunny California?
You say sunny, but we got 3 days of rain. So it rained at my BFF's daughter's wedding was yesterday, and it was rainy. They had to move it all inside. It's raining today and tomorrow, but it's not cold. It's like 60 degrees. So don't feel too bad for me.
Somebody's got a window open. I got an echo. Somebody got a YouTube window open, maybe by chance?
I don't.
I don't know. Some reason we got an echo going on. All right, Coach Nicole, how are you doing over there in your little hobbit hole?
It's quite sunny, as you see behind me, but as Coach Bronson, my across the street neighbor, can attest, yeah, it's pretty freaking cold. It's like feels like 7 degrees out. You hear the wind howling. The roads were pretty awful on Friday, so yeah, it's been a pretty crummy weather week. So I'm pretty jealous of Christy over in SoCal.
Well, it's been a frozen week for me, so I'm looking forward to warmer weather coming. Let's work our way around here. Johnny, what's going on in your part of the world? I know you're out there visiting with one of our other YouTubers.
Yeah, I'm here at Greg's house, My Weight Loss Life. Greg invited me over to do this at his house. I was in the area, and it was pretty cool. Come over here and be able to actually meet another carnivore YouTuber in person, and just having a great time. Dealing with some pretty bad weather. I was in just outside of Chicago a couple days ago when it was minus 30 degrees. The warmest temperature I saw for 4 days was like 4 degrees above zero. So wreaking havoc on my ability to get out and do push-ups and do a bunch of exercise outside when it's that cold.
Cool. All right. Well, you just got to pump them out. It just keeps you warmer.
That's true.
Coach Bronson, sir, we appreciate you being here, sir. We're looking forward to the conversation. How's your week going over there, having to live close to Nicole?
It's crazy. We bump into each other all the time, and we're all. We did get together a couple of weeks ago and had lunch. Was it lunch or dinner, brunch, something like that? But like she said, the weather here has been crazy. It's been sub-freezing for about most of the week. Snow, ice, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been fun.
My computer says temps are rising.
I'm not a fan of the cold, so no, I'm not enjoying it at all.
No, me either. It was 3 degrees this morning when I got up here in East Tennessee. It's at 25 degrees, so we're making headway. Yep. Tomorrow it's supposed to get up to 40, and then by midweek it's supposed to be up in the 60s. So you just never know around here. But I'm looking forward to warmer weather. So the conversation today, and I'll let Coach Bronson carry on this, but we're just going to talk about carnivore, the diet, and how fitness falls into it. Everybody here is doing, a little bit, except for probably me. I'm not doing a lot of fitness, but that's okay. But everybody's got their push-up challenges and different challenges going on. And so I thought it would be a good conversation. We talked about this about a month or so ago about setting this up. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. Coach, what do you want to say on it?
That's open-ended. How much time do we have?
Well, as long as you need, sir.
What do I want to say about fitness? First, before I get into that, have you had anybody ask any questions? Do you guys have questions that you bring into this? That might be a good, if you guys have questions that maybe people have sent you or asked.
I know that we were working on that, but I don't know if we actually got any questions. Christy, did you?
Go on a diatribe on fitness, so.
You did on my channel, and I loved it. It was amazing. So that got a really good response. But I have a personal question.
Shoot.
Can I ask my own question?
Yeah.
Okay, so since we spoke and
Mhm.
you talked about the do like a lower body day, an upper body day, a rest day, and then get the protein up and all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that for 2 weeks. Like this is day 2 of week 3, basically.
Mhm.
Is it common for people, women specifically my age, to just gain weight like rapidly during those first couple weeks?
It's
'Cause
possible.
that's what's been happening to me. And I'm like
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta ask coach about this because it's not easy for us women, me in particular. I'll speak for myself, but to just watch that scale because it was kind of slowly going up.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden it went like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, he said
Are you-
6 weeks.
Are you
So I'm gonna
tracking? So there's a bunch of things that go into
Mhm.
that. So you changed a handful of things all at once, right?
I did. I changed my
So,
macros, specifically
yeah.
protein. So I didn't add any more fat. Like I added in a can of salmon because
Okay.
you talked about the 1-to-1-to-1, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what I've been shooting for. And as I
Okay.
tracked that, I realized my fat was on point with that, but my protein was low.
Okay.
So I added in like a can of salmon.
Yeah.
And then in the first week, I was adding in a little bit of like the Equip protein. And then the
Okay.
second week, I did not add that. I just had the
Yeah.
extra can of salmon each day.
Okay.
So it's not like a lot of more mass, in terms of volume of food.
Sure.
But yes, I did add the workouts intentionally with the squats, deadlifts, lunges that you talked about. I incorporated an upper body day and
Mhm.
then a rest day and then
Yeah.
repeat.
Okay. Yeah. So what you're experiencing, first off, I would say is, do you have a body composition scale or just a weight scale?
Yeah, I do have a body composition scale. I did it like at the beginning of after we talked and before I started, I did
Yeah.
that. I did the whole, measurement. I haven't done it a second time because it's only been a couple weeks. So I was going to wait,
Do it.
like
Do
a
it every
month.
week. Do it every
Okay.
week, if
Okay.
not every
Okay.
few days.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So you don't know. So you've had a change. It's
Mhm.
very likely that change is water retention,
Okay.
and your body it could be an electrolyte distribution. Because have you increased your electrolytes?
No, but today I didn't take any yet because I was like, maybe I'm just retaining more water. I'm just going to like lay off the electrolytes today.
Yeah. So it could be,
So-
it could be being low in electrolytes. So if you're
Oh,
exercising
okay.
more, your body's going to use more, right? So you may need to increase more. So this is
Okay.
the experimentation part of
Okay.
seeing what happens. So you've made a bunch of changes all at once. Your body is trying to find where homeostasis is based on what you're doing now.
Mhm.
So your intake, your activity, that's thrown the seesaw off. So now it's trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
So it could be just inflammation from moving and doing things you haven't done. Your body's like, what's going on?
Mhm.
Could be electrolytes, could be some water retention. There's a handful of different things it could be. So it could be your body just getting used to digesting more protein, and it's not. So you have some digestion issues. So there's a handful of things. I would say just weight is a poor indicator of anything that's happening functionally.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to identify more about the functional impact of what your changes are having on your body, look at the body composition scan. I would say once a week at a minimum.
Okay.
Like Coach Nat she has her people in some of her programs do it every day, because you can see every day, if you do it every day, a much better thing. Like, hey, I could have a different reading. If I do it 5 days in a row, I could have different readings completely every single day. It's
Mhm.
up, down, it's up, down, it's up, down with all these different pieces. But it really is important to see that how you slept that night could have made a difference. How much water you had that night could have made a difference, right?
Mhm.
Did I work out, or was it a rest day? That can make a difference in the scan. So there's a
Okay.
lot of things that can impact the scan. But if you don't know, as at least from a trend perspective, right? It's trend analysis.
Yeah.
Where am I starting with my body fat? Where am I starting with my lean mass? What are the percentages, and how is that changing over time? So
Okay.
that's what you should be looking at more than your weight.
Yeah, and I'll say mentally I'm feeling good and I'm feeling strong. It's just
There it is.
when your weight, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
it was already kind of going up and now it went up like 3 pounds each of those, like 3 pounds and then 3 more pounds.
Yeah. So looking at your
So-
numbers, right? Looking at your body composition numbers,
Yeah.
and how much you weigh, it's very possible, because this is something that a lot of the women I work with have to deal with. And it's hard. It's
Mhm.
hard to wrap your head around the fact that you're not at a good weight.
Right.
There's a lot of women that I work with who need to gain 15 or 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And
So
that
at
is
this point,
hard
I've
for
gained
people to wrap their
19
head around.
pounds. At this point, I've gained a total of 19, 6 of those after starting what we had talked about when you were on my channel, which puts me basically where I was before I started keto in February. And I think that's the hard part. Like, I know there's more muscle in there. I can tell because I've been doing sprinting and other things too.
Yeah. And it's likely most of it's water.
Yeah.
And if you find you might need to find a new balance with your electrolytes and your overall intake, and you'll see some of that drop. You didn't gain. Nobody's going to gain 6 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks, right? So
no. And I know that. It's just you know, it's a little bit of it kind of messes with your mind. That's all I'm trying to say. But I'm not quitting. I just wanted to ask you. I'm like, oh, this will be perfect.
yeah.
Okay.
No, it's very common. People, you know, you get into a change and something happens that you may not have been expecting, and that kind of is just a reminder that, hey, keep in touch with why you're doing this. I'm not doing this to lose weight. I'm doing this to have better functioning body, a higher quality of life, increased ability to move my body and do things physically that I want to do. So trying to break away from the weight mindset is one of the big challenges that a lot of people face.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Outstanding. So let's back this up a little bit. So let's take the perspective from somebody that's been doing carnivore, never really did any fitness in their life, haven't really done much exercise like most of us probably haven't, because we didn't get fat by accident, right? So, you know, how would you recommend somebody just, you know, has got on the carnivore diet, they've been losing, you know, a good amount of weight, but now they're starting to think about getting on to doing some fitness. What would be your approach? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's 2 pieces to this. One is identifying why you want to do it and what's the goal. So you can change a bunch of stuff, but if you don't know why you're doing it, it doesn't make a difference. It's not going to last. It's not sustainable. So I like to recommend that you spend a little bit of time, do some self-reflection, identify what are the things in your life that focus on your physical ability that you feel are limiting your quality of life. What are the things that you feel like, I wish I could do this, or this sucks, or I hate getting up and down off the floor, or walking upstairs to go get something out of my bedroom is always a pain in the butt. I hate doing it. Or who knows what it could be. I would like to do more gardening, but I can't because it hurts my knees or hurts my back, right? I want to go play out in the yard with my dog, but I can't because I'm too tired and I only can do it for 5 minutes. And my dog gets frustrated because he wants to play and I can't because I'm out of shape. Like, whatever it may be. I want to go on walks with my kids and I can't because it hurts my ankles. There's all sorts of different things that everybody's got something in their life that is focused on a physical ability, and figuring out what that is for you. Your number one goal should be, how do I make this easy? If you've got something in your life that is a challenge, that's based a physical challenge for you, that is limiting your physical freedom, limiting or reducing your quality of life, your first goal should be, how do I get this out of the equation? What can I do? If walking up and down the stairs is hard for you, walk up and down the stairs until it becomes easy. If getting up and down off the floor is hard for you, get up and down off the floor until it becomes easy.
It's great advice.
That is the first step. From there, we can talk about functional movement and all the different movement patterns, or you can just watch Chrissy's video from when we were on there. And, you know, just how the body should move and the things that we should be able to do. But I think for anybody getting started, just what do you want to get rid of in your life, and do whatever you can to make that go away.
I just want to add something to that. So I always say one thing at a time, because if you try to focus on everything, you're going to fail at everything, right? You have to do one thing at a time. So what I usually have my clients do when they come to me, they have to lose a crap ton of weight. Most people who are coming to this way of eating have to lose a crap ton of weight. So I always say, focus on one thing at a time. And when you're first starting out, if you're starting out on carnivore or whatever way of eating you're doing, and you want to include fitness, I would focus on nutrition, because that's going to be hard as hell to do. Your body's going to go through changes. You're going to possibly feel like crap. It's all an adjustment. The most underrated form of exercise and the easiest thing you can do is go for a walk. I always tell people, when you're starting on fitness or any sort of movement, go for a walk. It's low impact. It's easy. Put your headphones in, listen to YouTube videos, whatever. But when you're first starting out, I would say focus on nutrition first. Get that right. Get your body feeling right. And just go for a walk. That's the easiest thing you can do. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I think walking is so underrated and underutilized as a form of exercise, because most people don't break out in a sweat and they equate sweat to exercise and all that stuff. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's usually what I recommend my clients do, and then they progress from there.
Great information. Absolutely.
And if I could chime in, John, I'm going
Go
to
ahead. Absolutely.
tie all that together. Nicole's right. So my journey started out with nutrition, really focusing on getting the bad stuff out and getting the good stuff in. So that was step one. And pretty quickly, within less than 2 months, I had more energy and felt better. And I began to walk. I just started walking. That's where it started. And then, ironically, my two things that I wanted to fix in my life, like Coach Bronson was saying, was going up downstairs. I live in a 2-story house, and I was having a really difficult time getting upstairs to go to bed at night. And I couldn't get up off the floor. If I got on the floor, it was a miserable experience just trying to get myself up off the floor. So I did nutrition. That's camera. Nutrition, then walking. Then I really focused on going up and down the stairs. And then I got to where I would just lay on the floor and get up, and lay on the floor and get up. And I did it over and over. And now I can pop up off the floor. Mm-hmm. And let's take it to where Christy's at now. Now I'm really starting to put on muscle. I mean, I have so much. This is just the truth. I have so much more muscle on me that you can see it. I can see it in the mirror. It's not beneath the skin. It's now what's, my chest, my shoulders are rounding out, and I have more what I call functional skeletal muscle. I'm not trying to be ripped. I'm almost 60 years old. I'm not worried about trying to fit on the cover of Men's Health magazine. I want to be functional. If I fall, I want to be able to get up. I want to not fall if I can avoid it. If I have to lift something heavy, or if I have to help somebody move something, I want to be able to physically, functionally do that. And it's just kind of neat that I can put all that together in my own personal story. That it's 100% like Nicole, Coach, and Christy all said. It's right there. And if I could add one thing to you, John, as far as motivation for myself, when I got the nutrition right, I felt, as we all know, basically 1,000% better than I did when I was eating poorly. But when I started adding resistance training, which Coach Bronson was the number one person that encouraged me to do that through an interview I saw with him and Kelly Hogan, and I really started thinking about functional working out, resistance training, the difference I felt between the standard American diet and going full carnivore, I've had almost that same increase again in how I feel going from sedentary to very, very, very active. It's like if a person is poor and they have no financial resources, and I got $100 bill in this hand and $100 bill in this hand, and I say both of these are meant for you. You can have both of them. Most people would walk up, if they're completely out of money and they have no resources, they would take both of those $100 bills because it's going to change their life. Well, carnivore is that first, our low carb, whole foods, animal based diet for me is that first $100 bill. Putting the exercise, especially resistance training and walking and things like that, that's that other $100 bill. Why would you not take both? It's as good as you feel now versus how you felt before you went carnivore. You can get that same increase again in functionality and how you feel in metabolic health by putting in resistance training. That's been my lived experience. I promise you I can't say that enough. I feel so much better now than I did even when I got really strict carnivore. I've got the same increase again. It's like a double benefit. And I'm not going back. I'm going to continue to find ways to work out and challenge, and your body adapts, right? The adaptation phase of your body. Everything you do, if you sit around a lot, your body gets really good at sitting around a lot. If you do push-ups like I do, I'm a push-up nut job. Obviously, you watch my videos, you know that I did 400 push-ups on New Year's Day at almost 60 years old. So the more you put stresses on your body, whether it be getting up from a seated position, getting them off the floor, your body gets good at that. It adapts. So that's my rant.
Yeah. I love how you said that, John. I was just watching a video earlier this morning talking about same concept but different application, talking about why other countries, particularly Japanese children, are better than American children at math. And they did a study where they recorded classes and they kind of evaluated how the American classes versus Japanese classes are held for math students. And they rate what we call the sweet spot, which is how much time are we put into a challenging environment or a challenging situation that we have to adapt and solve and figure out. And for American kids in a normal math class, they're in that sweet spot time which is essentially when are they out of their comfort zone? 5% of the time. And for Japanese students in math, they're out of their comfort zone. They're in that sweet spot 40% of the time. So the message that says is that's a very good example of how, in order to get where we want to go, we have to do something we don't normally do. If we are not challenged, if we don't have that stress, if we don't have that thing to overcome, then we can just be happy with where we are. We're never going to go anywhere else.
Great information. Christy, you got anything to throw in there? These guys are just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. So, I mean, he said he spoke my language when he said math students, because that's what I do for a living. Yeah. So I've got my math kids. They're constantly being grouped up. So we group them up. They don't know who their partners are going to be. It's like a random grouping. They're on their feet. They're at the board. They get one marker to share between them, and they don't know what problem they're going to have to get, but it's usually some kind of multiple step thing. And then they have to communicate their reasoning, with other people in the room. And my math scores are pretty good compared to my cohort.
Little pat on the back
there. So Coach Bronson is not wrong. You have to get that. Do they like that at first? No, they'd rather be sitting in their seat where they can hide, where they can blend in, where they can kind of go like this, and maybe teacher won't call on them, and skate through. But I don't let them do that. And so, yeah, I agree. There's a parallel there for sure. And I wanted to say that, the advice that I got from Coach Bronson during our interview about, it was very specific, and it really did seem doable. So it's something that I'm feeling like I can keep up with it. It's not overwhelming. It's something that I can fit into my daily routine, but I'm definitely working on one of the things you said was either you need to be able to increase your reps or increase your weight. Like if you can't do that, you either didn't work hard enough or you didn't rest long enough, in between. And so it's super challenging, and I've been writing it all down. Like I have a little, I don't know, it's not really a spreadsheet, but it's like a table, right, in a Google Doc. And I'm like writing those reps down. And then I'm like, okay, what did I do last time? What am I going to do today?
Yeah.
And challenging myself to increase that in one way or the other. It's not easy. It's not in my comfort zone to do that. But after I do it, boy, do I feel great, right? That I conquered that.
Yes.
That little hurdle, right, that I put in front of myself to conquer. And next time we'll do it again.
And that is one of the best unspoken benefits of having a fitness routine. You just nailed it, Christy, is you get a chance to practice overcoming challenges. Every time you set a goal, this is going to be hard. I know it's going to be a challenge, but here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put the effort into it, and then bang, I did it. So now you have every single time you go exercise, you do something for your fitness, you are checking a box in your archive of proof. Now you've proved to yourself over and over and over again that you can do hard things. So when something in life happens that you didn't expect, that's out of your control, you know that you've proven because you've done it in a controlled environment. You've done it. You've put yourself in hard places, and you can make it through. So the confidence and the self-awareness that creates for you in real life puts you at a whole different level and playing field than not having a fitness routine. Fitness routines people think it's like, oh, I'm trying to get big muscles. Yeah, that's part of it. But there's so many other impacts that go into just how you live your life and how you think about and perceive the world that it's hard to even explain sometimes.
All right, we got a question here. It's a two-part here, so let me go with the first, then we'll get the second part up here. Starting at a very low fitness level, focused on lifting or cardio or balance mix question, where both of us have dropped about 30 pounds since last March. And then it goes on here, says we both have at least 50 to 80 more to drop. Biggest positive is metabolic health improvements.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is focus on lifting, cardio, or balance mix.
Yeah, I think Nicole answered it when she was talking about walking, and I think that the answer is whatever you can do and keep doing it for the most. That's whatever you can do and be consistent at. That's the answer. For
Okay.
some people, that is, I'm going to start doing a yoga class. For some people, I'm going to start walking. For some people, it's just like John was saying, I'm going to practice getting up and down off the floor. So there's no right answer when it comes to getting started. Now, once you've gotten started and you've built a habit and you're ready to say, okay, what do I need to do next? What is going to give me the most bang for my buck? I will always put weight training above everything else. Increasing your lean mass, increasing your body's ability to move and handle stress is going to give you the biggest bang for the buck across the board. It's going to have metabolic health improvements. It's going to improve hormone function. It's going to improve your physical ability. It's going to reduce injury risk. It's going to increase your recovery time if you get sick. It's going to improve your immune system. Like muscle is a huge, I think, Christy, when we talked, it's like muscle is to the human body like keto is to nutrition, right? It's the proper human diet, physically having more muscle solves a lot of problems. So that would be the priority for me, for most people.
I also want to add weight training, and this is for women, because I see a lot of influencers or people on YouTube that say when you're a woman in menopause, decrease your weight training, increase your cardio, don't go to the gym, do yoga and Pilates and all these things, right? Don't exercise because you're going through menopause. I see that a lot. I want to say, like Johnny hit on, he's 60 or close to 60. As you age, sarcopenia is just one thing that happened. There's a lot of things that happen as you age where building muscle and lifting weights will help immensely. You don't want to age frail and weak and falling and breaking hips and all that, because that's what our current older population is struggling with. It's a huge, huge problem. And it's because they're not eating enough protein, one, in animal foods. And two, they're not weight training because the narrative out there is you want to decrease your exercise. And this is especially for women. I hear this a lot. You want to decrease your exercise. You want to do yoga, Pilates. You don't want to stress your body and all these things. Hogwash, lift weights and eat your protein. Yes, high intensity or whatever you think about cardio. I'm not saying cardio is not important, but it's the narrative I hear. You do want to incorporate weight training. You do want to increase your protein. You want to age strong and healthy and not weak and frail. I just want to say that because I do work with a lot of seniors, and that is a huge, huge, huge problem with our older population right now currently.
There are half a dozen or more health issues that we deal with as we get older that not only will strength training help with those conditions. Strength training is the only thing that will help with those conditions. So it is a super important thing. Absolutely.
Let me say one thing on that too, from my own personal experience, and I think everybody on the panel will agree with this. If you're doing something, whether it be getting up off the floor, push-ups, walking, whatever, when you're starting to challenge your body, when it gets hard, when it starts getting hard, difficult, that's when the improvement happens. You have to, if you get right up to, oh, I'm starting to get tired, I'm starting to get weak, it's starting to get hard to do this, that is when improvement starts. It doesn't start when you do it and it's easy. It's the improvement in your body, your metabolic health, your muscle building, all that stuff happens when it begins to get hard. That's when you have to push, that Coach Bronson said, your comfort zone. If you stop at the edge of your comfort zone, you did better than nothing, but not as good as you could do. When I do push-ups and I go to failure, those last 5 or 6 are brutal. I mean, I want more than anything to stop, but I know that's when improvement happens. When it gets really hard, when you have to push through, that's when the improvement in your metabolic health, your muscle, your connective tissue, everything is being built when it gets hard. So don't stop as soon as it gets hard. Go until what we call failure. I'm not saying get out there and hurt yourself and don't do that the first day, but that should be your goal with whatever you do. When it gets hard, that's when the improvement starts.
Yeah. I'm gonna add to that, Johnny, and say this is the part that nobody likes to hear. Okay. The most successful programs are 2 things. They're boring and they're hard. Okay.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be flashy. You could do the same thing. I would prefer that you find a workout routine and do the same workout routine every week for 5 years, as long as you can add intensity as you go and get better and improve and never change your routine. as long as you maintain it and stay consistent, than trying to find the new fancy thing all the time. What's the next crazy workout craze? What's this other program? Let me try that program. Let me try this. Here's some new workout machine or whatever it may be, right? Embrace the boring and embrace the suck. Those are the two keys that I guarantee you, if you can do those two things, you will never plateau and you will never run into a wall again.
Yeah. Coach Bronson, let me ask you a question. I've seen some posts recently about doing, when you get a little more advanced, about doing less reps, but much more intensity, much more weight. Have you seen this? Like, instead of doing 10 reps, maybe you're doing 3 reps, but you're using a lot more weight or a lot more resistance than you normally would, but doing less reps. And the science, how the science says, is that beneficial? Is it detrimental? What's the science on doing less reps, but doing much more resistance within those reps?
So for the average person, I recommend somewhere between 6 and 12 reps for the average person. Getting into what we call HIIT, high intensity training, which is, few reps, super hard weight, go to failure, move really slow, all those kinds of things. That is a popular method of training that, I'll just say, it's a lot like some of the things we get in the keto carnivore space with scientific biohacks. Okay. There's science out there that supports it based on who's telling you and interpreting the science. Right. That doesn't mean it actually works the way it really works. Right. It's one of those things like, okay, in the bodybuilding space, HIT, high intensity training, is different than high intensity interval training. That's a type of cardio conditioning workout. Right. So HIT, high intensity training, is a form of weight training, bodybuilding training that supposedly maximizes muscle activation and improves muscle hypertrophy or muscle growth. If it really worked the way that it's being purported to work from a bodybuilding perspective, there would be a lot more people doing it. Right. The history of where that came from, and there's a lot of background I'm not going to get into now, but a lot of that was used by Arthur Jones to sell Nautilus machines when he was coming out with Nautilus in the 60s, right? Okay. So a lot of that stuff is marketing hype. A lot of that stuff is, I think, a little blown up to what it needs to be. The science as we know it today shows that there is a good range. There was actually a study that came out a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. I just heard about it a few weeks ago, where they were showing muscle growth increasing by scales of percentage at 30 reps or higher. Wow. 30 sets a week or higher. So, most of my programs, I do 10 to 20 sets of a muscle group per week. And they're saying that, you could do up to 30 or more a week and still see another increase in the amount of muscle that you gain. So everything that we have now shows that volume and intensity is the best combination. And that more intensity with less volume isn't necessarily the best.
Right. All right.
So I would say for most people, 6 reps to 12 reps is a range that's good, something that's challenging, to get good muscle growth, to learn the movement patterns, learn how to activate your muscle, feel what's happening in your body, and that kind of stuff. When you're doing super high, super low reps at super heavy weight, that is usually specifically for a maximum strength goal. And nobody who's just trying to improve their quality of life needs to be worried about maximal strength as the only focus, right? You're looking at a bunch of other things there. Right. So keeping it mid-range is usually better.
Okay. That would be an example of what I'm doing. So my goal is to enter my first powerlifting meet spring of next year. So right now I'm rebuilding my strength. So I'm focused on increasing my 1 rep max because that's what I have to do next year. Right. So I'm one to lift for heavy weight, whereas someone like, Christy and Johnny, who are looking to improve their overall health, would lift for reps. So it just depends on what your actual goal is, would depict how you train, because I train differently than Christy trains and how Johnny trains and what have you. So yeah, I guess it just depends on what your ultimate end goal is, would depict what your training looks like.
Yep. Absolutely. Who is that?
I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from.
It's my son. It's my son. He's singing, and I'm going to go tell him to knock it off.
Oh.
My new microphone is really, really sensitive. He's in his bedroom.
Oh, we're all sitting here like, where in the heck is that sound coming from?
That's my 15-year-old. He's
Is it at least a good song? What is
I
it?
don't even know what song it is. I think he listens
Tell me he's world renowned now. We all heard it.
Right.
Celine Dion?
Yeah. I'm going to go tell
Singing
him.
Singing in the shower or something there.
Hey, John,
yeah.
let me ask you a question. You specifically.
Okay.
Going forward in 2024, I know you said you probably do the least amount of exercise. Do you have any things that you want to work on, that you want to overcome, or that you maybe in the back of your mind that you're thinking about you want to start putting emphasis on for you personally?
I'm going to get back to walking. I went from, getting 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And then I took on this new position at work where I spend a lot of my day driving around like you do. I mean, you're out in a truck, but I'm out there delivering the parts that keep the trucks moving. So my goal is to start finding places to walk along my route, where I can get out and just do an hour-long walk to get my walking back up, because I think that's important. And I haven't committed to this yet, but I don't know if you can see my shirt. It says, the way of the warrior. I was in jiu-jitsu for a while, and I actually really enjoyed that. So I'm thinking about maybe looking to see if I can find a place out there that I can get back into jiu-jitsu, because I mean, there's nothing better for cardio and just getting yourself in physical condition than the physical aspect of jiu-jitsu. So that's something I may do this year. I haven't committed to it yet, but it's something that I am thinking about.
Do it.
Yeah. I would imagine jiu-jitsu probably helps with mind muscle, the coordination, these quick twitch muscles and so forth that have to come into play there, as far as, because you got to move quickly. You got to think about what you're going to do just before you do it. I would think that would be, especially as, because I know you're 49, so you're getting up there too, like the rest of us. Anything you can do to keep that body moving. Because here's my thought on this. I thought about this last night. Greg and I were having a conversation last night, and I thought about this. What if you ate the Lion diet with all grass-fed, grass-finished beef? It was a 100% perfect diet. It couldn't be any cleaner. But you laid on the couch all day long. You didn't do anything. You just laid on the couch and veg, watch Netflix. But you ate a perfect diet. Would you be healthy?
Nope.
So is it diet 100%? No, I think it's diet with movement, functional strength training.
50-50.
So that was just a thought I had last night, and Greg and I kind of agreed that probably maybe not 100% clean on the diet, but adding a whole bunch of resistance training and functional movement and functional training might be a better balance than having a perfect diet but laying around and doing nothing all day.
That's the best thing I've heard so far today.
I would say that the human body was designed to move, and if it's not moving, you're going to have health issues. Yeah. Your level of movement is going to be based on where you're at, but you obviously need to get moving more. But everybody's got to come at it from their own perspective and how they can make it fit into their life, and then build from there, and set some goals, and then build up from there, because you are what you think. I mean, if you're constantly thinking like, if you're focused on something, that's what you're going to do, right? If you're focused on YouTube, then you'll spend days and hours and weeks creating YouTube creation. That's what you're doing. And if you start thinking about your health and your fitness, you'll start doing that. And that's one of the biggest things I liked about carnivore and doing this channel, is it actually focused me on carnivore. It made me accountable. And now, obviously, the next step is to start getting myself more physically and fit, because, I've been struggling with my weight for the last 2 months. I've lost a little bit now, but I got, I'm on a hold, and we got a question here that's similar to it. But, I've been in a stall for a while, and I want to lose, another, 60 pounds minimum. I want to get down to 225, 220, 225. That's my goal weight. And I want to do that before summer's over, preferably. So I got a lot of work to do. So I got a lot of things to think about how I'm going to get there. But I'm going to commit to it, and then I'll use this channel as a way to hold myself accountable. I don't know if I'm going to be sitting there and doing push-ups like Johnny over here.
But that gets to what you're talking about. You're trying to find time in your day. If you can do some really hard resistance training, like me, every time I stop the truck, if I stop to get fuel, if I stop to get loaded or unloaded, if I stop for the evening, anytime the truck stops, I pop the brake, make sure I'm sitting still, jump out, and I do 25 push-ups right then. It literally takes 30 seconds. And at the end of the day, I've done 250 push-ups. And it only took me a total of 6 or 7 minutes that I built into my day. Because I can't take an hour and go walking. Yesterday, I worked 14 and a half hours yesterday. There's not enough time in the day for me to spend an hour and 15 minutes. So I've got to do it quickly, get it done, make it beneficial, make it specific to me. Right now in my life, especially with this cold weather and the long trips that I'm taking, I don't have an hour. So I've got to find a way to get in my resistance bands. When it's 25 degrees below zero, I'm not doing push-ups. I promise you I'm not doing it. But I bought these resistance bands for $20 and I'm in the truck and I'm doing those and I'm doing these and I'm still finding a way to get it done within 5 or 6 minutes. So that's where you can really build a program into your life that works with your work schedule that doesn't require hours and hours by doing what I feel like when I do push-ups and when I do resistance bands, when I really do it, I'm out of breath. It takes my breath. So I know I'm getting some cardio advantages in there too. And I don't have all that time in my day I wish I did. I would do more walking. I want to do a bunch of 5Ks this year. I'm going to do a 5K with Greg, with Randy, with Kip. I mean, I've got 5 5Ks that I'm planning on doing, and I'll build that time in there. But in the meantime, doing what I can within a 5 or 6 minute period fits into my day perfectly.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that because I was more in that mode, but I am a teacher, but I'm not driving a truck for 14 hours a day. So I'm the same though. Like I don't have an hour either, but if I can fit it in 30, 35 minutes in the morning, that's what's going to be best for me. I already know if I wait till after school, it's not happening. Like, it's just not happening, but I can commit to 30, 35 minutes in the morning, before work. And it fits in like to my lifestyle and like my personality and all of that, perfectly. I don't feel overwhelmed by it. I feel, to speak to Coach Bronson's point during our talk the other day, positive stress with a positive benefit, right? As opposed to a negative one. I look forward to it. If it was something that I tried to fit in for me personally after work for an hour, I would be dreading it. I would be hating my day. Maybe my mindset will shift in the future. I can't say, forever, but for now, that it benefits me and, and it's become something that's enjoyable, which I've never really, other than kind of doing what you do, Johnny, kind of fitting it in like that. I do enjoy that. And I'm also enjoying this with like the half an hour kind of dedicated time,
right.
So.
And then you have it done and you got the rest of your day and you feel good that you got it done. And then you have the balance of your day to do your regular life.
Yep. 100%.
Outstanding. I would say that, there's a book I'm getting ready to read called Atomic Habits, and, building good habits, whether it's, eating right, eating good, fitness, your finances, your investments, whatever you're doing in life, they're all based on habits. And I would say that, Johnny, that you're probably sitting down there and you're driving down the road and your mind's already thinking about the push-ups or what you're going to do as soon as you stop that truck, because you're planning it. It's become part of your habit.
Yeah.
You can have bad habits, you can have good habits, and creating good habits is always a good thing. My morning starts off, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and in my habit now is I sit there and I listen to Dr. Kiltz and, get my morning started. I don't think about work. I don't think about anything. It's just all about getting my, my mind clean and straight ready for the day. So that's one of the habits that I've built up, and then I, go from there. And I agree with Christy, that you can sit there and maybe part of my morning should be, doing some type of fitness stuff. So are definitely things that people need to think about. Let me pop through a couple of these things here before we get too far behind, because it says I'm like 24 messages behind here and I haven't looked recently. Deborah says, Coach, I asked you a question. Boom, you forwarded me exact info immediately. Love it. Can't wait for your next book too. Awesome. Then I got a question here. It says, how does Coach Bronson view cycling as a form of exercise, and what other exercises would he add to cycling for better health?
Lift weights. Lift weights. The one trap that a lot of people get into is very similar to nutrition. They find the name for something, and they find a thing, and then that's all they do. Oh, cycling is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do cycling. Okay, that's great. So that's going to make you really good at cycling. How is that going to help you pick up your kid or your grandkid or do gardening or move furniture, right? So looking at what are the things that I need to do in my life? And this is where the conversation about the essential movements comes into play. There are a bunch of different movement patterns and ways that the human body moves that we need to practice, because they have a component of how our brain communicates with our body. They have a component of how our muscles activate movement in our body. And if the goal is quality of life as we get older, if we can't do these basic movements, then we can't live by ourselves. We can't be independent when you're 80, 90 years old. You have to have someone come live with you, because you can't sit on the toilet by yourself. You could ride a bike all day long, but you can't walk up the stairs. So I think cycling can be great, and there's some benefits to it. But if it's the only thing you're doing, then I would recommend cutting back on that and start throwing in some functional movement and some weight training.
Okay. Anybody want to add to that?
Sprint your bicycle up a hill. Find a big hill and ride your bicycle up a hill as fast as you can. Sprint uphill against resistance and do several of those. And then turn around and rest as you coast back down the hill and sprint up the hill against resistance.
Yeah. I would say sprinting is another thing. There's a lot of stuff in fitness that, again, we see things in nutrition that are kind of corollaries, right? Fasting is a big thing in the nutrition space. Okay, that can be beneficial, but it's not a solution. Sprinting can be beneficial, but it's not a solution. Any solution that you're looking to improve your quality of life needs to be holistic and encompass all the aspects of what our body needs. And our body needs more than just sprinting. Sprinting once or twice a week, great. Doing some long cardio once or twice a week, great. But the priority should be on metabolic function, and that starts with building muscle and moving your body in all the different ways that the body moves. So the focus should be, I'm going to learn how to move my body. I'm going to learn how to feel that movement so I'm doing things correctly, and I'm going to add weight to it. From there, other things are bonuses. If I want to do cardio during the week, that's great. That's a bonus. Did I already get my strength training in? No, then I should probably do strength training instead. I want to sprint. Okay, great. Did I already get my strength training in? No, then I probably should get my strength training. So the focus should be on strength training and functional movement. Everything else is a bonus. And that will generally get you moving in the right direction and break whatever stalls you might be in.
Good
and
stuff.
just know strength training will help your cardiovascular health too. You don't have to do cardio to help your cardiovascular health. It does all of that. So you don't have to break it out into specific cardio strength, cardiovascular strength, not. That's a falsity. Strength training does help your cardiovascular health as well. It jacks your heart rate up. It does all the things. So you can reap all the benefits. I usually just strength train. If I want to do cardio, I'll just pop the treadmill on an incline, a super steep incline, like 10 or 11, and do that for about 20 minutes as kind of like a cool down at the end of my workout. And that's pretty much all I do for cardio now. I used to do all these races and running and all this stuff, and then hips and knees and things start to happen. But I just wanted to add that in there. Strength is very important, as I'm sure everyone's learning. But I think there's this common misconception that in order to strengthen your cardiovascular health, you have to do cardio, and that's not true.
All right. I got another question here. Concerns about abdominal work post hernia surgery has left me with some pooch and general weakness in the belly. What option/training type of exercise can I look at?
Yeah, there's a ton of core stuff that you can do. My recommendation, because we're not going to get into it here. I mean, I could list off a whole bunch of different exercises and things, but there's a lot of what we call rotation and anti-rotational work. So if you look, I'll just give you one exercise. Look up Palloff press. I think it's Palloff. Look up Palloff press. That's a really great thing. And there's 100 variations of the Palloff press using resistance bands, weights, different things. So take a look at that. That's one exercise variation that you can do. But I would say get with a physical therapist. Find someone that's local that can kind of walk you, or a personal trainer. It doesn't even have to be a physical therapist. A personal trainer that you can evaluate that you might trust. Say, hey, look, these are things I'm working with. I'm trying to increase my core strength. Just remember that core is not just your stomach. Okay, so when we talk about core strength, we're talking about the entirety of your torso from your armpits to your hips. So it's your lats, it's your stomach, it's your obliques, it's your lower back, all of that stuff, and it's your abs in the front. So all of that stuff is part of your core. So it's not just about sit-ups. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So finding someone that can help you do those things. The best thing that you can do in general is weight training with dumbbells or kettlebells, where you have to move your body and maintain balance and stability. So using your core is designed. The reason we have our core musculature is to prevent our spine from being damaged while we move our body. It's to keep our hips and our shoulders connected and tight. So it's like there's a rod going from our hips through our neck, okay, to keep everything tight so we can have good power transfer from our legs to our arms, so we can keep our spine safe. So learning how to use your body while you do free weight exercises. This is the only downside in most cases. This is the only downside of only using machines versus using free weights. When you use machines and you do your strength training in isolated movements where the machine is supporting you, you don't get as much core activation. When you get to a barbell or kettlebells or dumbbells or medicine balls and you start doing stuff with weight that you have to control with your body, then your core can be improved in strength and function, and it will kind of get rid of some of those issues.
Yeah, I like to speak to that because I've had 2 hernia surgeries. So I am not an expert, but I have noticed that as I've been incorporating the dumbbells more, like I focused on my core and sort of keep it solid, as I'm doing that, because if I'm doing a shoulder press, like that weight's not going to get up there if I don't like make it a point to stabilize my core, especially as I'm, increasing that weight, almost to failure. It's not going to happen if I'm not engaging my core. Another thing I noticed really helped, because I used to always feel like any second I was going to pop out another hernia. Like if I did anything wrong, too much with the abdominal area, I just kind of always felt that, like you mentioned, the weakness, it sort of felt like that. And like another hernia could just bust through at any time. I don't feel like that anymore. And I think, some of that has to do with the planks that I've been incorporating. So, it didn't give me that same feeling, like a traditional like crunches or something would do to where that would always make me feel like I was gonna, have another trip to the hospital. But I don't know if that was true or not, but that's what it felt like. So I would steer clear of those personally. But yeah, when I was doing the planks, I noticed, it was a huge increase in my core strength and stability. I more than doubled. I think I like quadrupled the amount of time that I was able to hold that plank without feeling, and I'm sure that's very personal to everyone, but without feeling like I was gonna have another hernia issue, and for sure increasing my core strength. So that's something that helped me.
Good stuff. Hey guys, let's take a quick break here and just say, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and go around and like all these guys' channels. Subscribe to them if you're not. You got Christy at Meeting Wellness. You got Coach Nicole at the Former Fat Girl. You got Coach Bronson at his channel, which is Coach Bronson, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, at Coach Bronson.
At Coach Bronson, and then got Johnny down here at the Champion Within. Was it 9619?
Yeah.
So give their channels a like, give them a subscribe, and then here post in the comments, what type of fitness are you doing? Are you doing resistance? You doing weightlifting? Are you doing cardio? Let us know. If you're just walking, post it in the comments here. We'd like to know. And I got another question here, and it looks like I'm 14 behind. So if you guys want to work on this one seems fairly easy. Do anyone do bone broth for collagen?
Hey, I got that one.
Okay, go for it.
I haven't done it yet, but Christy's been a big inspiration to me. So I'm going to start getting the bone-in ribeyes and bone-in T-bones. And after I cook my steaks, I'm going to save the bones. And I'm going to do, John, you're going to get mad at this maybe, but I'm going to do the bone broth. And I'm going to heat it up in the morning. And I'm going to replace my coffee with bone broth with some butter in it. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to use Christy's recipe for doing the bone broth. And I don't drink coffee in the summertime. I just drink it when it's really cold because that warmth, warm in your hands and warm going down your, into your stomach seems to warm you up. So I'm going to replace coffee with bone broth for the collagen because I want my connective tissue, my tendons and ligaments to be stronger, skin, bone, all that stuff. So I'm going to actually start using bone broth to replace coffee in the morning. So I still have something warm and nice to drink, but I get maybe more benefit than the coffee would give me. That's just my take.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I do have a bone broth video. I do make my own bone broth. And I'm telling you right now, I am not the DIY. That is not me. Like if I perceive it as difficult or time consuming, I'm just going to buy it, like the product, whatever it might be, like electrolytes. I know I can make my own for cheaper. It's not going to happen because I don't want to buy those things and whatever. I just don't want to do it. But the bone broth, I feel like, kind of what Johnny was saying. So I used to eat ribeyes even before I was carnivore, and I would be like annoyed because I'd paid money for those bones, and you just throw them away. But now I save them. So when I finish with a ribeye, I take that bone, put it in a bag in my freezer, and when that bag gets full, I just pop them in the Instant Pot. It takes like 4 hours. I put it in there with a little bit of salt, a little bit of 2 tablespoons apple cider vinegar, which helps. The acid helps get the extra minerals and collagen and all the stuff out of the bones. And I'm telling you right now, that broth turns out like it's like gelatinous. If you flip that jar over, like I just put it in mason jars, it doesn't move. It's like a solid. And I'll drink that 2 or 3 times a week. Another thing that I found is if you want to get off of like I still do flavored electrolytes. But one way that I can stomach the unflavored electrolytes is to put them in the bone broth. Some people just put those in water and I don't know how they do it. Like more power to them. I can't do it. It's gross. I mean, good for you if you like it. Some people like it. But for me, I can put those unflavored electrolytes into the bone broth and yeah, it's actually tasty. So that's another trick I've learned along the way, but it's delicious. It's easy. I bring it for lunch because I can just warm it up and, have it with my whatever I'm having for lunch that day. It's great.
I make my own bone broth, but I haven't had it in a while because I haven't had any bones to put in the crock pot and slow cook. But I definitely recommend it. It is good for you. All right, guys, we've been going at it here for 57 minutes. I'm looking for questions. Looks like, let's see here. This is a question, not a question. Show your guns.
Jonathan.
No. Is that all you got? Come on, let's see some guns, guys.
Hey, come on. Oh, Johnny, check you out, stud.
Getting it, John.
He does. He does have some.
That's from doing push-ups. I don't know how in the world I got biceps from doing push-ups, but my shoulders, my biceps, triceps, my abs, and everything is engaged when I do push-ups. And I haven't done a whole bunch of isolated, work on my biceps, but because I'm using my whole body when I do these push-ups. And one quick thing about the push-ups that I do, I don't do the same thing over and over again. Like when I try to do a quote unquote HIIT workout, high intensity interval training, I'll do 10 push-ups as fast as I can, rest for a minute, do 10 push-ups as fast as I can, rest for a minute. And then by the 70th or 80th push-up, I am completely gassed. It is the hardest thing. But, and then, sometimes I'll move my hands further apart, bring my hands closer in. I put my feet up in a chair. I spread my legs way open. And every time I make a minor adjustment in the push-ups, I feel it somewhere different in my body. And it's amazing. For a lot of people, probably some of the viewers watching this, you don't have the money or the time to join a gym. You don't have to. You can use your body weight, the resistance that you can get from your body weight, whether it be squats or lunges or wall squats or push-ups or whatever. And it doesn't cost a dime and you can fit it into your day. But yeah, that's what I've never had guns in my life. It's kind of neat, even almost 60 years old, to be able to flex and see.
We're gonna see Johnny do a video, and he's gonna like bang out like 50 burpees like nobody's business. He's gonna be that's
next. I can't quite do them yet. I can, but they still look really awkward. But yeah, I would love to be able to actually do those burpees like you see the young people doing. That's the next, like Coach Bronson said, you work the thing you're going to. That's what I want to do next. I want to get the burpees in there.
Well, before we move on to the next thing, Coach Bronson, where's your guns? Did you flex?
They're in the holster right now.
Did you flex? Yeah, no.
Hey, I watch Coach Bronson's workouts. He does his workouts and puts them on, I think, Facebook, and I watch them. It's amazing, some of the stuff he does. For y'all, those of you watching this live stream, that after you're watching it in the replay, Coach Bronson is 50 years old. Am I right, Coach?
51. I'll be 52 in May.
Yeah. When the first time I watched him, I thought he was 30 years old, 28, 30 years old. This guy's, he's up there with the rest of us. He's, of course, Nicole's probably, like 18, Nicole, 19?
Yep. I'm 43.
But yeah, just to show you
43.
All the things
He's
that
aging
you can
like
do,
her height.
you can actually age a lot more gracefully if you really, really, work hard at it.
Oh.
One quick question, Coach Bronson, if I can. What is your thoughts on static resistance versus dynamic resistance? Like if you do an isometric, like a plank or something like that, is there any advantages or disadvantages or difference between that and maybe doing more dynamic movement? What's the science there? How do we gauge that?
It's muscle activation, and it's something that you can throw in there for variation. I don't think, for the most part, the biggest difference is that there's no range of motion involved.
Right.
So you're activating muscles in a set position. So that's the only detractor. If you're trying to improve your overall range of motion and functional movement, then while isometric movement can be beneficial for muscle growth and activation and things like that, proprioception or feeling how your body works, I would put it in there every once in a while, but not as a core. It shouldn't be a foundational piece of any program. Now, that being said, there are things, particularly when it comes to core, like we talked about before, where anti-rotation, which is essentially isometric work. So the idea of I'm trying to keep my body from twisting by applying force to it. So the idea is I'm trying to keep my body still, even though there's a force being applied to me that wants me to twist. Right. So that's isometric and anti-rotation. So you're building stability into it. So there is a case for building stability by applying force without allowing the joint to move. Right. So there's some things there from a shoulder. Usually you see that stuff in core work and shoulder stability work. So yeah, there is a place, but I would say if you're doing it, do it because you know why you're doing it, not just because it looked cool and you saw somebody do it online.
Yeah.
All right, we got another question here. It says, for the men, I have my testosterone checked in 2016. It was $300. Now it's a month. It's close to $700. I've never had mine tested. Have you, John or Coach Bronson?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I never have. I feel 100% confident that mine has to have gone way up just because of how I feel, how positive I feel. Other markers that I won't go into on here. I know my testosterone level is markedly higher than it was a year ago. Yeah. I don't have to, I probably could have it tested. It'd be neat to see, but since I didn't have it tested before, I won't know what the difference between the two numbers is. Okay. I just know that I feel so much more masculine, but in a positive way, than I have been in a lot of years.
Yeah, I would say, actually, this question says for the men, but it's just as important for the women.
Right.
So women, you need testosterone too, and you need to have it checked. There's a range that is good for women. Women will have a lot of issues if their testosterone isn't where it needs to be. So it's just as important for women as for men. The other thing to keep in mind is the total testosterone is almost irrelevant.
Right.
Okay. So what you're looking for is your free testosterone. So looking at your free testosterone is going to be more impactful because that's what's actually available for your body to use. Right. That's what's in the system that your body has to use. So it's great that your overall went from 300 to 700. Mine did something similar when I started Carnivore, and a couple of years into that, in the 2020 timeframe, I was around 3 to 350. The last time I got checked, I think was last year sometime, and I was over 700. So testosterone will definitely, I've seen it for most men and women. Testosterone goes up when they start weight training and eating more meat. But there's other aspects, sex hormone binding globulin, SHB, but I always say that wrong. SHBG, SHG, whatever it is. I forget. I always get the letters mixed up. Sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG. If that is high, then your free testosterone is going to be low, right? Because it inhibits testosterone. So you want to get those two checked. What's your free testosterone? It should be good. And what's your SHBG? That should be low. And then you're going to really start seeing some improvement.
I have to say that dollar sign threw me off, and I'm glad you clarified it because I was reading that and I was like, you went from $300 to $700, and
Yeah.
my brain was just wrapped around that, and I just couldn't picture what he was talking about.
He's
Yeah, now I understand it. Like a big red truck, I got ran over on that one. Thank you. Oh, we got a question here for Bronson. Every time I try to get back to my regular weightlifting routine, the tendonitis in both elbows starts to flare. I'm frustrated since I love lifting but can't hold dumbbells. Now what? Question mark.
Yeah. So that is a physical therapy question. You need to find a physical therapist. There is a imbalance somewhere in your shoulder, anywhere from your shoulders to your wrists. How you're holding the weight, how you're activating. Maybe there's some muscles that aren't being activated, and you need to do some very light, very specific movements to build up your extensors in your wrist, to build up your maybe your biceps somewhere. Like there's something going on in your forearms, most likely, or in your tricep or your bicep that isn't being activated properly. Maybe it's the position of your shoulder. Maybe it's the way you're holding the weight, whatever it is. So you need to kind of start from scratch with very lightweight, but very specific exercises to build those up to the point where you can then start moving heavier weight in bigger ranges. But that's going to require you to work with a professional, and I highly recommend getting with a physical therapist to do that.
All right, guys. I don't see any other questions at the moment. This is your chance. Post your last minute questions here if you guys want to get something in here and answered, and we'll definitely go ahead. I got a question for Johnny.
Yes.
What are you doing on May the 4th? It's a Saturday.
Whatever you want me to be doing.
So let me post this up here. So here, you got me thinking, and I went and found this real quick. Let me share this real quick. So this is in Townsend, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Is that up there? There we go.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Bigfoot 5K, Townsend, Tennessee, not too far from here. If you're interested, if you're available that Saturday, maybe we'll get together and do a 5K.
I'm there. I'm 100% there. If you commit to it, I will be there. I promise you.
I'll commit to it if you commit to it. And if anybody else wants to jump in on it, let us know. We'll get together for a meetup 5K on May the 4th, Saturday, in Townsend, Tennessee.
I'll be there.
Email
me the link or something like that to remind me. I'll go ahead and sign up. I'll pay my entry fee, and God is my witness. If I'm still alive, I'll be there.
All right. Let us know in the comments if anybody else wants to get along with that and join us. We'll go out there and press it out. At Townsend, Tennessee, if you're not familiar with it, it's right outside the Smoky Mountains. Just a beautiful area. So it should be a wonderful 5K. All right, guys. Any other questions? Please post. Wait a minute. I think I got one here. More. Question, more biceps. And then to follow up on high SHGB, do you have any additional suggestions besides resistance training / sprinting to lower it? ? I have the typical issues with high SHBG and low free testosterone.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who has some good videos on that. I think Dr. Barry has some videos on testosterone and SHBG. The biggest additional thing I would say is make sure you're getting enough sleep. That's a big one. And anything you can do to help manage your overall cortisol levels is going to help that as well. So stress reduction, that's going to be sleep, and building muscle is going to help with that as well. So increase your sleep, reduce, if you're doing anything that's processed in your diet, take a look at what that is. I have seen some things about coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, totally up to you if you would decide. I've played around off and on with not having coffee, see if it affects my testosterone, all that kind of stuff. So there's a handful of things you can play around with, but I think the biggest one would be sleep and making sure you're getting whole foods as much as possible.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we've been going for a little over an hour here, and I appreciate everybody in their time. So let's go around and have a quick little talk here, and then we'll wrap this up for the day. I appreciate you guys for being here. I think I got everything there. Okay. So we'll start up here with Christy. Christy, what's on your mind? What's your final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thoughts are: I'm very glad that I started this trajectory, if you will, that I've got going with my fitness, becoming more intentional about it. It's not all, roses, right? I've had a couple of challenges, but I think that's good. I think that's good for people to see that. Oh, look, I'm ginormous. Hello. But I'm going to keep going, right? And to see that I'm not giving up, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to look into those electrolytes, Coach Bronson, as we talked about at the beginning. And just keep going with it and see if I can figure this out. But I know for sure I am getting stronger. I noticed it again in my legs today. I'm like, man, there's muscles in there that weren't there before. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to keep going, to keep fitting this in a way that's sustainable and workable for me, because that's just something that I, up to, in the previous, years to this, and I'm 48, haven't really been able to find. So yeah, I'm just happy to have been able to incorporate this and to just keep going, keep tweaking things, keep adding things, and keep improving. So
outstanding. We appreciate you being here and your support of the channel. We look forward to more roundtables with you.
Absolutely.
All right, let's put Coach Cole.
See, it's jarring.
It's the Hobbit.
Coach Nicole, thank you for being here. Tell us what your final thoughts are from your little Hobbit house there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's newly renovated. Yeah, so I'm just glad to be back. I was on a little 2-week or so hiatus for some personal stuff. So it's only, I think, my second or third live stream back. So it's good to be back with everyone. But no, I love these fitness talks. I as I start my new fitness journey with powerlifting, which is something I've always wanted to do, I would definitely love to do more talks like this, specific like strength training and fitness, because I don't think it's talked about a lot, and it is a passion of mine. So this is definitely perfect. But yeah, I do plan to document my journey. I want to do my best. Coach Bronson is a pro at live streaming his workouts. I definitely am not going to live stream, but I am planning to record as much as I can my journey and my ups and downs of training and food and all that stuff. So I do plan to take you all along. But yeah, I'm excited to get going, and who knows, maybe by the end of next year or the end of this year, I'll hit up Coach Bronson and I'll ask him to get me across the finish line, and maybe we'll do some stuff together. But yeah, so I was excited for this chat, and I would love to do more of these fitness specific live streams with you all.
Outstanding. Well, we appreciate you being here, and I feel like the novice in here because I'm not doing any of this stuff, and I probably should be, and I need to start thinking about it. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are inspiring me today. All right, Johnny, welcome to the big screen.
Thank you, sir.
What's your final thoughts, sir?
Well, I just want to, if I can emphasize again, how much of an add-on, how much of a bonus it is when you start putting functional training, resistance training into this whole way of life. We talk about this being not a diet, but a way of eating. I like to expand that out and call it a way of life, because when you start adding resistance training, functional training, everything that Coach Bronson talks about, everything that we've talked about today, you cannot believe how much better you feel. You can't believe how the quality of your life goes up again. You feel like when you go very low carb, keto or carnivore, and you think your life is as good as it can get because it's so much better than it was. When you add resistance training, movement, functional stuff on there, you get that again. And I never in a million years would have thought I would have this much more benefit than I had from just going carnivore. It's amazing. It's life-changing. And if you guys aren't following Coach Bronson, he's become a good friend of mine. We've talked offline a good bit. Follow him, watch him on Facebook, follow him on Facebook and everything, because he's the one that got me going. I saw an interview with him and Kelly Hogan. He actually had his mom in a CrossFit gym, and I just said, that's a piece of the puzzle that I'm leaving on the table. I need to start doing some of the things he's talking about, and my life dramatically increased and got better again. So I'm going to say what Nicole said. Having more talks about this, I think we've kind of, if you'll pardon the expression, we've kind of beat the cow to death on carnivore in a lot of this space. We've got to go to the next level. Am I right, Coach? We got to go to the next level and start adding the functional movement to the diet, so that we can get everybody to the next level where I feel like I'm headed to. That's all I got.
I have one interjection
I'm going to
here.
say this real quick. Sorry, I'm going to say this real quick. My friend Greg Wendell from My Weight Loss Life. This is Greg right here. I'm actually at Greg's house in Greg's studio. up here in northern Iowa. And what a cool thing it is in this community that we've all kind of created and become part of, to get to meet in person. Meeting Greg and I've been with him since yesterday, and this is him and his wife. And he cooked some steaks on a grill last night in 0-degree weather with it snowing like crazy. He posted some stuff about that earlier. But the community, you just add it all up, the way of eating, the community, functional movement, resistance training, and you can take your life to a place you never imagined it could go. That's all I got. Thank y'all.
Cool.
That's all.
All right. So Greg, in the background, you've been backseat driving this whole live stream. You got anything you want to add or put in here, bud?
No, I agree with what you guys are all saying. I think it's important to take it to the next level and try to incorporate some fitness, and that's kind of what I'm doing for this year, is focusing more on that, hoping to do my first 5K. And it's one of those, a year ago, I couldn't even get off the couch. So I'm working towards my exercise goals and hopefully dropping some more weight as well. So it was all good stuff. Great show today, guys.
We appreciate you being there. We appreciate you supporting John here, and we'll have you guys all on the round table, and we'll have some other discussions. So we appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's Coach Bronson, sir, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. Tell us what's on your mind. What's going on with your life? What's your focus for the next week? What are you thinking?
There's all kinds of stuff going on. Somebody mentioned that I got another book coming out. So I'm working on my next book. It'll be out. I have no idea when. I'm going through every time I do a revision and think, I think I'm good. Then I wait a couple of days and look at something else and go, nope, I got to change that whole thing. So I'm working with a publishing coach right now, actually. And they reminded me that writing a book is not about writing the book. It's about rewriting the book. So that's the process I'm going through right now. So I don't even have a name for it yet, because some things about it keep changing. So if all goes well, maybe we're looking at middle of the year that'll come out. But the idea behind that is a lot of what I talk about is bringing the holistic message to the table. It's not just about one thing. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it. And keto isn't why you're successful. Carnivore isn't why you're successful. Whatever program you're doing for your fitness, that's not why you're successful. There's principles and concepts behind what works. And any program that you do that meets those principles and concepts is going to help you find success. But it's more about what's sustainable. What are you able to do? How can you make it last? How do you stay motivated? Those are all the things that really matter. And that's really what the book is about, to try to help people walk through the process of finding out what's going to work best for them, and not get confused, right? It's kind of a end the insanity, or what was the Susan Powder thing back in the 80s?
Stop the insanity.
Stop the insanity, right?
Insanity.
Yeah, it's that whole stop the insanity idea, right? There's so much information out there that we need a way, a method that each person can follow step by step to figure out what's going to work best for them. And that's what this book is going to be about.
Outstanding.
So that's what I'm working on right now.
So are you writing the book, or do you have somebody that's assisting you write the book? I mean, I've seen some people that, have like a ghostwriter or something that helps them.
Yeah. So I'm writing it, and I have somebody that I'm working with who's doing editing, going through and making some reviews and saying, hey, this doesn't make sense here. Maybe you need to put this section over there, that kind of stuff. So I'm working with someone who's kind of helping me go through the process of having an actual, more professional, high end, top tier book. I want the book to be one of those books that, this is my goal for the book. I want everyone that reads this book to read it and go, I wish I'd have had this 10 years ago when I started. And I also want them to say, everyone else needs to read this book before they get started. That's the impact that I want this book to have, because my goal for this book is, once you understand the concepts in this book, they will last you for the rest of your life. You will never get stuck. You will never not know how to figure out where to go from wherever you are. That's the point of this book. So that's what I'm looking for.
Outstanding. All right. Well, guys, I appreciate your time. This has been another wonderful roundtable on a Sunday afternoon. Look, guys, go out and go to each one of these guys' channels. Make sure you subscribe to them. Make sure you hit that bell button, hit the like button. Go in the comment section of the video and just tell them thank you for everything you're doing, because they're working hard to provide great content to help, you guys out with, with the carnivore diet, with fitness, with just life in general. So they all need support. It helps the channel. It helps, YouTube know that, our channels are out there. So if you get a chance, as soon as you're done with this video, just go to each one of these channels, make sure you follow up with them and just tell them thank you for everything you're doing. And that helps immensely, and we appreciate it. So, guys, we'll catch you next week on the next Carnivore Roundtable. I got some interview stuff coming here soon, so hopefully we'll be putting that together with some stuff that got put off because of the weather and Christmas and all that. So I'm starting to get caught back up. So I'll be posting that stuff up here pretty soon. And I got Nicole, we're going to be doing something. What was that we were doing, Nicole? We're going to watch, what we end up deciding we're going to watch now.
Yeah, you are what you eat. There's going to be a bunch of us, mostly channel members are going to join forces and do commentary on it. We're going to react to, there's a couple people who reacted. Dr. Westman actually just put out a reaction video yesterday, but we're going to have to react to a reaction because unfortunately the video is not on YouTube, it's on Netflix, but we do plan to give our feedback and commentary on that in mid-February when I get back from vacation. So John's going to help tag team one of his first reaction videos. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be good. And, and like you said, it's going to be a member thing. So if you're a member of the channel, but, we'll put that out there and figure that out for everybody. But it should be a good, good live stream of all of us in there reacting to this video. So we're looking forward to that.
Real quick, Coach Bronson, there's a question. Are you doing an audio version of your new book when it comes out?
That is the plan.
Okay, cool. Somebody was asking.
Yep.
That's normally the second step after the book actually comes out. Then you start working on trying to get the audio.
The coach that I'm working with is pretty high on, he wants everything done all up front. So we'll see. That's the plan. We'll see. That may make it take a little bit longer to come out, but yeah, that's where we're shooting for.
There's some really good people on Fiverr and some other places that you can get that have really good speaking ability and do a really good job reading books.
That's what I did for the last book. So the last book just came out on Audible after you and I talked, John. I think right after, like the day after we did our interview a couple weeks ago or last month, I got the email saying that it was approved on Audible. So the last book is on Audible, and I found the person to do that on Fiverr. So,
well, there it is. So go out and get his first book on Audible now. It's out. I wasn't aware that it was out. I knew you had it coming, but I hadn't checked on it recently. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's great. I'm reading it the old-fashioned way. I'm about halfway through. So it's really good, you guys.
Yeah, I can't make time to walk. I don't have time to read half the time either. That's why I listen to everything while I'm driving down the road. I've completed probably 7-8 books in the last month, but all of it's been audible. I mean, that's because I'm on the road constantly. I don't know if John's listening to books out there on the road, but it's a great way to just take in a ton of knowledge while you're doing nothing else but trying to commute from one point to another. Guys, I'm going to wrap this up. If anybody's got any last comments, put it out now. Otherwise, we're going to call this a good day. All right. Everybody's silent. We'll catch you guys next week, Sunday, 1:00 p.m. Eastern.